Hello and welcome to Advancing Cancer Recovery Facebook stream live event. And my name is Avinoam Leona. We're going to spend the next 10 minutes together talking about immune enhancement, or a holistic approach to immune enhancement, specifically for cancer and cancer recovery. But first and foremost, I want to kind of apologize for change in time. I did promote that we're going to kind of meet in the afternoon, but the truth is I've got to pick up my girls today from school, and it's a day where I don't usually have to do that, but today I do, so they come first. And nevertheless, we are here. So let's begin and talk about one of the main concerns that I see with patients day in and day out, and that is how they can play a more active role, how can they participate in their own care, and mainly how can they take actions, or which actions they can take to support themselves mentally, emotionally, and of course physically. And we talk about physically, we are talking about enhancing or improving or increasing the ability of the immune system to do its job, which is eliminate any abnormalities that is in our body. The challenge that, there's, without going into specific type of cancers and the way that cancer masks itself or not, I just want to talk about what we can do, because I'm not a scientist, I'm not a medical doctor, I'm not an oncologist, I'm a holistic practitioner, and as such, my main concern is with addressing people's mind, my client's mind, and make sure that their mind is on board with their body, with their treatment. I want to just kind of hit the let's get started with okay. I set a timer so that I know exactly how long I have to go. But I want to go back to the topic, immune enhancement, and the way that I help my clients reach that goal of having their mind on board with their body is quite simple. We engage the mind, and when I talk about the mind, I talk about the subconscious mind. We engage the mind in that respect, that we address some of the mental and psychological patterns that we know through research have the capacity and the ability to suppress immune function. So kind of to take a step back, I want to talk about the scientific study of psychoneuroimmunology, or PNI. And psychoneuroimmunology is a field of scientific study that investigates the relationship of what goes on in our mind and what goes on in our body. And why this is important, because this investigation, the path for this investigation kind of relate what goes on in our mind directly to immune function via the central nervous system. So this is an important roadmap, if you will, for anyone interested in engaging themselves or playing a more active role, because now we have the evidence based on the scientific study and the results and the growing body of evidence that it provides. We have the evidence that we can play a part. It doesn't mean that we have 100% control. We may not even have 50% control. But let's face it, if we have 1% control, and this is the crucial 1% that will improve or will allow us kind of to ensure that we're stronger and more resilient than ever, we want to take that action, and we want to make sure that we have that 1%. So this is not about how much we influence the experience in the physical body. It's really, we know that we do, is just, I'm not getting into the argument of how much. Even just a little bit is incredibly a lot. So the scientific study of psychoneuroimmunology basically investigates the impact of stress on the functioning of the immune system. And stress, of course, means different things to different people. For someone, it's just going through their daily routine. For someone else, is going through treatment. It's very subjective. The point is that this particular research is studying some of the humane experiences that we may get into and experience as we go through treatment, mainly how helplessness and hopelessness impact our ability or the resiliency of the immune system. And we know, because the data is available, if you Google that, you will find it, that it does. And we know that certain states of mind, such as helplessness and hopelessness, but rage as well, shame, guilt, and all of those toxic kind of emotions, they are not supportive. They are inhibiting in many ways. And you know, when we feel them, it doesn't feel, we're not feeling elated, we're feeling depressed, inward, collapsed. And so that's, in a kind of a metaphorical way, that's what happens to the immune system. So we want to be able to negate that. We want to be able to address some of the mental and psychological patterns that support the state of helplessness and hopelessness. And in doing so, when we resolve those, we basically take back control, we dissolve, we kind of allow the immune system to perk up. We remove the burden, if you will. And the immune system can perk up, can become more resilient, and can do its job better, which it has done for many years. And so we want to get back into this state. Will that be sufficient? I'm not getting into this discussion because that's really the field of science. And it really is up for the scientists to investigate to what extent, in what ways, and so forth. For me, the purpose is to empower clients to come to this place where they feel aligned and empowered to complete their treatment regimen, because we know that when a patient complete their treatment regimen, their odds for recovery are improved. So this approach that I'm advocating is not an alternative to medical treatment. It is in fact an adjunct, if you will, a pathway alongside medical treatment to enhance and improve and help patients embrace the many blessings of treatment, the many blessings of medication. Now, when we talk about stress, as that was the primary goal of the research in P&I, there's no better prime example than hearing those three words, "you have cancer." When you hear those words, your world turns upside down, and you get into this shock, right? The shock of diagnosis. Stress is back and front. It's everywhere. So, in my perspective, or from my perspective, I would really like to get to work with people right from the get-go, right from the moment they have been diagnosed, because then we can truly manage or I can help them manage their state of mind much more effectively. So when we talk about stress and psychoneuroimmunology, we talk about the shock of diagnosis, we talk about the fear that has everything to do with mortality, because even though cancer treatments have advanced greatly over the years, cancer is still associated, to some extent, rightfully so, with death. We're in a much different place than we were even a few years ago. And thanks to medicine, we can continue and improve and find better ways to treat the body. And I just want to say that it's as important when we treat the body to also treat the mind, the person within this physical body, who we are. Because, if I'll use this old analogy of the body is a car and we as the driver in the car, obviously we want to be able to drive the car to a place of safety rather than just let it run wild. But the fear that arises from the experience of treatment, the trauma of treatment, is very real. And so we want to be able to address that. We want to be able to support ourselves while the medical team is supporting our body. And one way to do that, the way that I do that in my office, is to help that process or support that process by engaging the part of the mind we call the subconscious mind, because that is the part that is below the surface. It's the part where all of our ideas, beliefs, the information, it's a storehouse of our experience, right? All of our experiences are there, memories there, emotions are there. It's kind of the blueprint for our experience. So this is very important because it's also the part that governs in many ways many bodily functions we don't think about, like body temperature, like breathing, heartbeat, and so forth. These are all governed in a way by the subconscious mind as well. They happen automatically. In other words, we don't consciously engage in this process. And so this is good news, because if we can work on the level of the subconscious mind, and we can resolve or change or override some of the old ideas that we have, replace them with new, better ones, and in doing so, also allow the body to become more resilient, this is really good news. And that's the purpose of this work. That is the point of engaging in this process, which I practice in my office. It's really about taking back control, not feeling like you're a runaway train. Like, you take back your ability to manage your state of mind, and in doing so, you're supporting your state of physical experience. And any medical provider, regardless of how skeptic they are or how detached they are from any holistic approach, they will agree that when you enter treatment in the right state of mind, the outcome is usually better. So even if we reduce all of that into that particular statement, they will not be able to deny that, because it's really to their benefit, the benefit of their patients, that their patients will be in the right state of mind so that they can embrace treatment. They can embrace the process. I just want to, we're approaching the 10-minute mark, I just want to kind of point out very quickly that one of the pushbacks that I get from medical providers with regard to addressing anything holistic is that, I've been accused of promoting false hope. And I want to say to that extent that false hope can only exist when you provide false guarantees. So very important. I don't guarantee any outcome. I say we're going to shoot for the stars and we take what we get, because it's a little more complicated than just black and white. We are an incredible organism, life force, in a flesh shell, so to speak, and so the interaction is way more complex than that I can explain. But the point is that it doesn't mean that we cannot do something. We have to take ownership and responsibility of our experience and do everything we can to improve the outcome of our experience. And I offer free consultations to anyone who may have interest in learning how to do that. What does that entail? What is the process? How long? What the cost is? And how can I kind of weave it into my my treatment? So that's the bottom line. If you watch the replay of this event, which is likely that you will because I changed the time, I invite you to post comments anyway, because I go back to these threads and I kind of engage with people. People send me private messages through the Facebook app. I answer those as well. So feel free to do that. I want to support you in any way that I can. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next week on Wednesday at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. Thanks so much.